For the first time this season, it's NFL player prop time. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in to another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I am your host, Steven, and who's ready to talk some NFL player props, baby? That's right. For the first time all season, I am jacked up about it. If you're looking for our game bets, that video is out now. Go check it out. Let's just get some winners. Off to a 2-0 start. We'll recap that Friday night game in just a little bit. But just real quick, guys, Outlier, if you are not a part of it, you are missing out. All sports bettors that plan on doing this long term need to have the right tools, and Outlier is that right tool. You're going to see us go through some different player props using the Outlier screen. You're going to see all the different details it has for it. So I just want to point out, Outlier, use your free trial. You got nothing to lose. Just go check it out. Click the link below in the description. But now, quick reminder before we get into it. I know we got a lot of little housekeeping stuff, but I'm going to be on the Kerms Show. Kyle Kerms, if you don't know, on YouTube, 11 a.m. Eastern for about an hour and a half leading up to kickoff, talking all the games, breaking it all down. It's going to be a ton of fun, so come check it out. But I'm ready to get into the player props, and that means we got to finish it with the NFL fun fact. So this is crazy. You may already know it. The Chicago Bears are the only franchise in NFL history to not have a 4,000-yard passer. Absolutely crazy. Now, in this video, we're going to recap Friday Night Football and then give you our 4 best NFL player props and our 4 favorite anytime touchdown props. That's right, we're going big. I got a couple one-unit plays even today. And then we'll finish it with the bets recap. So hit that like button if you haven't already, and leave a comment if you have any time at all. It really helps this channel grow. We're on our way to 28,000 subscribers in the first 2 years, thanks to you guys. So if you're new, hit that subscribe button, as we're going to talk football every single week. And we still got MLB rolling as well. So thank you guys. Let's get into it now, and that means it's recap time. All right, here it is, our 2-0 start. We already went over that Chiefs win, so we don't need to do that again. But Friday Night Football in Brazil on great playing conditions. Saquon Barkley over 64.5 rush yards. First play of the game, he gets a toss, and he falls down for -5 yards. So really, technically, I had over 69.5 yards right from the get-go. But either way, he went over 100 yards. The second half, he really broke loose, finally found some room to run because the O-line was not opening anything up in that first half. But he got the job done. Overall, that game, in my opinion, just as a sports fan, it was sloppy, it was ugly. Quarterbacks weren't very good, even though there's a lot of points scored. And Jordan Love reverted back to his first half of last season accuracy, completing like 50% of his passes. But either way, it was just one of those games that's in Brazil. You can't take too much from it. But we are 2-0, so let's keep that rolling. But that is the recap for Thursday Night Football and Friday Night Football. And now it's time to talk some player props. All right, I got 4 player props before we get into the anytime touchdowns. These first 2 bets are going to be half-unit plays, and then the last 2 will be my 2 favorite one-unit player props. So here we go. Why not start out with a rookie? Give me Ladd McConkey of the Chargers, over 37.5 receiving yards at -113 on FanDuel. So let's talk about this for a little bit. It's a very low line, in my opinion, for a guy who's going to be out there a ton for the Chargers. So if you don't know Ladd McConkey, I loved watching him play. He was at Georgia. He was in the 98th percentile in receiving against single coverage last season in college. He's a very shifty receiver. He's just one heck of a route runner, so I think he's going to be able to get open, create separation, great yards after catch guy, that kind of guy. And reports are that he is going to be playing out of the slot for the Chargers, so he's going to have some room to run and get open. His competition for the wide receiver in that room for the Chargers, it's not much. How about Josh Palmer, DJ Chark, and Quentin Johnson? Only Palmer is ahead of him on the depth chart, but again, he's going to be probably the slot receiver. It's a wide receiver that Harbaugh obviously loves. I don't know if they moved up or not, but I do know they drafted him in the 2nd round. So I think he gets enough targets here. I mean, he's got a good quarterback, obviously, throwing to him in Justin Herbert, and he's now facing a Raiders defense that was average versus wide receivers last year. It's just kind of an okay matchup. But it's a rookie making his debut. There's not a lot more to say. I like what I saw in college. I like what I hear from Chargers camp and how he's been playing. He will be out there on the field in the slot quite a bit, according to reports. And 37.5 yards, guys, that's not much for a guy who can get open, who can run routes, who can have good yards after catch and all that kind of stuff. So give me the young lad over 37.5 receiving yards as my first best bet. All right, this second best bet is a running back on a new team. Give me Tony Pollard over 10.5 receiving yards at -110 on Bet365. This is my second half-unit play. If you don't know, he's not on the Cowboys anymore. He's part of a running back committee with Tajay Spears in Tennessee now. It's probably going to be around 50-50. You saw Spears' line. He's out there like 14.5, 15.5. But let's look deeper into this one. Of course, that means let's look at the incredible app that really helps you with everything. Outlier. So let's go check it out now. And let's start right here. So this is Tony Pollard's page. We're going to show you a couple things just to show you what can really help you with all your tools and research and everything. But he's over this in 12 of 18 starts with the Cowboys last year. Now, how much does that matter? I don't know. It's a brand new team, obviously, and things like that. But this is here to show you he is a pass catcher. 10.5 yards is usually on guys like maybe Derrick Henry or guys, that don't catch the ball a lot, which, by the way, we're going to talk about in a second. But over in 12 of 18, you can even see at 6 games of 24 or more receiving yards, he is a proven pass catcher. This is a low line. Now let's go to the top right just to show you something. And you get this on a lot of player props and everything. It shows you line movement, which is awesome. You can see what it was yesterday, today, by the hour, and things like that. So that's kind of cool to see. But now let's look at the matchup for this bet. Over there on the right, you can click versus running backs. And there it is, guys. Last year's numbers. The Bears were absolutely dead last in allowing receiving yards to running backs. 32 out of 32 teams. They gave up 1,003 receiving yards out of the backfield in 2023, averaging about 60 yards per game. The next closest team wasn't even really that close. They gave up around 45 yards per game to the running back out of the backfield. And then, obviously now we have the Titans offense. It's different than what he was used to in Dallas, obviously. But Derrick Henry, we just talked about him. He was a guy who just wanted to bulldoze you over, run by people. He was not a great pass catcher. He just wasn't. But guess what? He had 10-plus receiving yards for this Titans offense last year in 10 games. And he shared some time actually in that year with Tajay Spears as well. So, Derrick Henry can do it. This number is too low for a guy of Tony Pollard's stature and what he does on the football field. So if preseason means anything, which I don't take a lot to it, but some people do, he did have a couple catches in a couple different games as well. So I expect him to at least get a few catches here. 10.5 yards, we're talking one catch, one screenplay for first down, and we pretty much have it. So I think this number is too low. Give me Tony Pollard as my second best player prop of the night. All right, the first one-unit play of NFL Week 1 is Javonte Williams, over 2.5 receptions at -125 on Bet365. Anytime you have Sean Payton as a head coach, you have to look at possible running back receptions. You saw with Alvin Kamara, my goodness, he had like 70, 80 catches throughout the year. Even Mark Ingram had 50-plus catches, I think, 2 different seasons. They target running backs more than any other team last season as well on the Broncos. And now Javonte Williams. He's another year removed from his big knee injury. If you know, he came out of college and he had a lot of hype, and then some injuries derailed him and all that kind of stuff. So I expect a big year from him, but he did come in with some high hopes, and I think people have kind of waned on that and kind of forgotten about him. But let's talk about some competition that he has. There's no more Samaje Perine. That's huge because he is a big-time pass catcher out of the backfield. It's pretty much just Jaleel McLaughlin, but he isn't anyone I'm really worried about. He's a youngster. And from the reports, he can't really pass protect very well, and you need to be able to do that for Sean Payton. So now let's dive more into the numbers and why I love this bet. That means let's take a look at that beautiful app, Outlier. Again, link is in the description below. Go try the free trial. But he was over this now. As you can see, last year, he's over this in 11 of 16 starts. So obviously good hit rate there. And like I said, I think his role is going to be even bigger this year. Now, if we go to the last 10 and how he finished last year coming off the injury, he went over in 8 of those 10 games. So now let's go over to the right, and you can see matchup right there. And we clicked on versus running backs. Seahawks ranked 22nd, giving up receptions to running backs. It's a great matchup, but here's what I'm going to say. As a Seahawk fan, does that number mean a lot? I don't know, because probably not as much as you think, because Mike McDonald is now the head coach. Now, when Pete Carroll's the head coach for like the last 15 years, it seems like, or however long it was, he played a lot of cover 3. He played a lot of soft defense and just continued to let running backs catch the ball and nickel and dime us down the field. It drove me crazy. It drove a lot of Seahawks fans crazy. I do not see Mike McDonald doing that. I think he's more of an aggressive head coach and things like that. We'll see what the DC does there too. But so the matchup, we will find out. But either way, I still love this no matter what. But now let's scroll down and show you something else on Outlier that we have not showed. And this is what I want to show you in regards to the team and target share. So that's the target share from last year and how much they got the ball and things like that. But 2 of those top 4 guys now have left. No more Jerry Jeudy, no more Samaje Perine. That would mean they are getting rid of about 30% target share combined. I just love this bet. I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's not a lot of competition. So finally, now also why I love it. He's playing with the rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, out of Oregon. As you guys know, what's the best friend for a rookie quarterback, especially in his NFL debut? dump it to that running back. And Sean Payton loves to do it. He's going to want to get his quarterback comfortable and give him some easy plays. And again, I don't even care about the yards. So if if Javonte Williams catches 2 screen passes, that's we're 2/3 of the way there already. That's all it is. But Bo Nix threw over 60% of his passes last year in college for under 10 yards. This isn't a guy that loves to push the ball down the field or anything. I think we're going to see a ton of dump offs here. And again, I expect Peyton to have a lot of dump off screens, plays like that to get the rookie comfortable. So I think this number is too low for a starting running back of his talent. I'm going to take it for my first 1 unit play. Give me Javonte over 2.5 receptions as my 3rd best player prop. All right, now to my 4th best player prop and another 1 unit play that I absolutely love. Give me Brian Robinson of the Commanders over 42.5 rushing yards at -113 on FanDuel. So he only needs 43. Yep, that's right. I did the math for you. You don't need to worry about it. He's the number 1 running back for the Commanders. Yes, Austin Eckler's on the team. He is not a guy they want to run between the tackles all game. He is pretty much becoming a pass catcher at this point of his career. And now they have Cliff Kingsbury as the new OC, the offensive coordinator. He ran the ball pretty often, actually more than people think, and he ran it pretty well in Arizona as well. Kingsbury has come out and said Brian Robinson is absolutely a number 1 running back in the NFL, and whatever coaches say is true, right? They never lie to us, ever. But Brian Robinson last season averaged 4.1 yards per carry with 0 quarterback threat. He was 13th in yards after contact in the NFL, 22nd explosive run rate. He had good numbers. He showed the talent. And now he plays with rookie Jaden Daniels, which we are actually going to talk about here in a little while. But defenses are going to have to spy him. They have to worry about his dynamic running ability, and he has that, that's for sure. But his rush attempts on the sports books, not Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson, they are at 11.5. So let's just say he gets 12 carries. He only needs to average 3.5 yards per carry, and that's without him really even breaking any long runs or anything like that. So last season versus the Bucks, 7 of the final 8 running backs with 10 or more carries went over this line. The reason? It's not that hard when you have 10 carries or 12 yards to get 43. We're not asking for the guy to be super productive or super efficient with his carries or anything like that. And in fact, when Brian Robinson had 10 plus carries last season, he went over this in 8 of 9. That's 10. I think he gets 12, 13, maybe even close to 15 at least carries. So the numbers are there that they show that. The Bucks are pretty good run defense. They're nothing elite or anything like that. We'll see what they are this year. But like I said, I think his role gets even bigger in this second year with Eckler being more of a pass catcher. Volume alone should get him to 43 yards. If he breaks a couple, we should soar over this line. So give me Brian Robinson as my 4th best player prop of the day for 1 unit. And before we get into all our anytime touchdown bets, let's check out the promo with Bet365. All right, if you're thinking about signing up with another sports book, now is a great time. There is a great promotion with Bet365. If you live in a legal state, you get 2 different options. First bet safety net up to $1,000 in bonus bets. If you lose a big bet as your first bet, you get it all back in bonus bets. Or the one I would choose, you bet $5 no matter what happens with that bet. You get $200 in bonus bets. It is a great way to just start that bankroll on that sports book and get rolling there. And obviously more sports books just mean more options, better odds, and things like that. So go check out Bet365. The only way to get it, click the link below in the description for Bet365 and start now. And of course, you must be 21 years or older to gamble. If you have a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Now, back to the bets. All right, for the first time this year, let's talk some anytime touchdown bets. And just a heads up, these are not parlayed for me. I am giving you 4 separate ones, and I'm going to sprinkle because I don't feel like losing a ton of money if these guys don't get touchdowns. You need a little luck. A quarter unit each on these. Here we go. The first one. The guy I'm all over, as you saw in the season preview video. Give me Dalton Kincaid anytime touchdown at plus 165 on DraftKings. I think he's going to be an absolute beast this season. He is a tight end, but they're going to line him up out wide because he's going to be the number 1 pass catcher for this team. In his rookie season, he started only 11 games and still had 673 yards. He only had 2 touchdowns, but I think we're going to see a ton of regression to the mean, I guess, for this one with touchdowns. He did have some targets. I remember him last year. I had him on my fantasy team. I think he's going to have some big numbers this year when it comes to touchdowns as well. Bills on offense. This is why I love it. Obviously, they lost Stephon Diggs. No more Gabe Davis. That is a total of 15 touchdowns from last year gone. They got to get it somewhere. Obviously, they got rookie Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, which, by the way, his over receiving yards is not a bad option either. But there's not any wide receivers that are absolutely commanding the ball or any elite player. I think Dalton Kincaid and his continuity with, or chemistry is the word I was looking for, with Josh Allen is going to get him to have a big game. And if he's facing a Cardinals defense, that could be really bad. I mean, I'm talking really bad. Last season versus tight ends, they were tied for giving up the second most touchdowns to tight ends with 8. So give me Kincaid at this nice price as my first anytime touchdown. Second one, Jonathan Taylor of the Colts, plus 105 on DK. Obviously, not as good of odds as Kincaid, but it's there for a reason. So I talked about this a little bit in the game bets video when I talked about the Colts game. But Taylor's healthy, and I think he's ready to dominate and have a big season. He's going to get the pleasure and the honor of being behind a top 5 offensive line in the NFL that is starting out healthy, unlike last year, which he did not have a ton of games behind that offensive line. But he's a guy who scored 20 TDs in 2021. We know the talent he has. He faced the Texans one time last year. He had 188 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. I just need the touchdown part, but he had 7 touchdowns in his last 9 games last year. He has the ability to get a receiving touchdown, but I'm not really counting on that. He faces the Texans defense. They did give up 11 rushing touchdowns to running backs last year. They were pretty decent against the run, but again, the Colts, when you have an elite offensive line, sometimes that does not matter. And I just need a touchdown here. So like I said, they gave up 11 rushing touchdowns. That was the 12th most in the league to running backs. He did not have exactly the greatest offense either. When he played against the Texans, he had Gardner Minshew. Now we have Anthony Richardson. Defenses have to worry about his mobility and things like that at the goal line. But Jonathan Taylor's a guy who could break one really deep and get a touchdown as well. So I like Taylor's my second one. Third one, Sam Laporta. Let's go to the tight end of the Detroit Lions on Sunday Night Football. Anytime TD at plus 145 on FanDuel. This Lions team total is set at 28.5, guys, for a reason. This team can score a crap ton of points when they were playing in a dome. We're expecting 3 to 4 touchdowns out of them. If you look at the sports books and everything like that, maybe even 5. I like Laporta's chances to get one. He is a top 5 tight end in the league, if you do not know. He had 10 touchdowns last year as a rookie. He had a touchdown versus the Rams when they played last year as well. Rams defense versus tight ends last year, they gave up the 6th most yards to tight ends and the 2nd most touchdowns with 8 touchdowns. I like him to have a good game, but all I need is a touchdown. He's a stud. So give me Laporta. The fourth one, let's end it with a rookie, Jaden Daniels, anytime touchdown. He's the quarterback of the Commanders. Just a heads up, this does not mean a passing touchdown. Obviously, it has to be a rushing touchdown or receiving touchdown. I don't see him getting that. But this is plus 205 on DraftKings for one of the most dynamic athletes at the quarterback position. I know we haven't seen him, but we saw him in college. We know what he can do with his legs. And like I mentioned before, Cliff Kingsbury is the new offensive coordinator. He did pretty dang well with Kyler Murray as his running quarterback. You saw a lot of designed quarterback runs, read options that'll give him options or opportunities at the goal line and things like that. So I also like Jaden Daniels over rushing yards as well, just as a second little side note. But he's facing a Bucs defense. They actually struggled with mobile quarterbacks last year. They were tied giving up the 2nd most rushing touchdowns to the quarterback position. So at plus 205, let's throw another sprinkle on it. So those are my 4 anytime touchdown bets, my 4 favorite player props for week 1. But before we get out of here, let's check out the recap. All right, we start out with the young lad, Mr. Ladd McConkey, over 37.5 receiving yards for a half unit. Tony Pollard of the Titans, over 10.5 receiving yards for a half unit. And then my 2 and only 2 1-unit plays of week 1. Javonte Williams, over 2.5 catches, and Brian Robinson, over 42.5 rush yards. And then we got the 4 anytime touchdowns. 1 unit total. It's not a parlay. It's a quarter unit each. Dalton Kincaid, Jonathan Taylor, Sam Laporta, and Jaden Daniels. Let's get some winners. Started out 2-0. It's nice to get off to a good start, but I'm ready for some football in week 1. That's for sure. I cannot wait for Sunday to get here. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below. Let me know your favorite player prop, parlay, whatever it is you're doing this weekend. But hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy some football, and we'll talk to you soon.